Hi, and welcome to another episode of the After 90 Talk. It's been a while, Andrew. It's been a minute since we're able to last kind of record, and definitely since we last uploaded, right?
Yeah.
Um, so again, it's been a while, but as always, I'm your host Ivan Garcia with Andrew, my co-host. Good to see you again, man, and good to
Yeah.
be back out here.
Yeah. It feels good to be back here again, and likewise, it's good to see you again as well. Yeah, we've took like a long break, or I wouldn't say hiatus, but it definitely has been a while since we posted. A lot of football news has happened. We saw the Champions League winners. We saw even the the female winners that just happened a couple of days ago. So there's been a lot of news and a lot of stuff that happened in football, but unfortunately, we had a busy schedule between each other.
Busy schedule, and then also just recordings that didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of issues just recording and uploading and getting our material to save, our content to save onto to the recording devices. It's all part of the learning process, I think, for us, and part of the growth that we eventually hope to take with us. And but really, we're just having fun. This is we are I guess serious about it, but it is for fun. So I've enjoyed every recording, even the ones that Andrew they didn't make it onto YouTube. I mean, after like just we just sit here and just start talking about the game, and then all of a sudden it's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
In conversations, right? So it just tells you how fun it is to sit here and hang out and talk about soccer, man.
Yeah, I mean, you ready to talk about it?
Yeah. Like Andrew said, we did miss quite a bit, right? We missed quite a bit of what we wanted to what we like to talk about. We missed the Champions League final. Well, we didn't miss it, but we wouldn't get to upload about it, right? We didn't get to record about it. We actually sat down and hung out and watched the game, and we even tried to practice calling the game live, like commentators would. I just learned that in order to be able to upload live videos onto your YouTube channel, you have to have at least 50 subscribers. So please help us achieve that. If you can share, like, comment, even just to talk smack. I mean, we're just as witty, I think, but but no, respectfully, just we do ask for your support. Anyway, we do want to commentate eventually live. That would be amazing and an amazing accomplishment for us. The Champions League, ultimately PSG went up to win that Champions League edition. A great deserving champions, I think. And then we also got to see this summer the Club World Cup. I think it was a 50-50 as far as successful, but if you're a football fan, I think you enjoyed the games and the atmosphere for sure. I'm not sure that the players enjoyed it, but so all that stuff's happened since we last recorded. And even now that being July 28, 2025, some of the leagues have already kicked off. Not the European leagues have not. The European leagues have not kicked off, but a lot of action in Americas has continued or has kicked off, right? And that's what we want to get into today. We want to make this an edition of the Americas show. I think it's one of the shows that we've been neglecting a little bit, nephew. But you know how much of importance I emphasize on the Americas, or how much the world football and fans owe to the Americas, right? Because of just the quality of the players, and then the fans too that bring the atmosphere. We want to kick off with Liga MX. Liga MX is now already in the third week, the third edition. So teams have already played. Most teams have already played up to 3 games to this point. I think there's a couple that have only played 2. Guadalajara, and then there's gonna be one more. I'm not sure why I don't see another one that's I've been looking for who are they supposed to play to catch up, but that's not important, right? We'll get to that when that game shows up. Andrew, a lot of action this week, a lot of good games, right? A lot of good games. I wanted to kick off with the first the Pumas game, the Querétaro against Pumas game. Just that's it's your team. What did you think of that victory for Pumas? They sure needed that victory.
Yeah. I mean, we went 2 matches into the season losing both. And it was actually our first time losing our home opener in a season. losing at home. I think it's been maybe maybe over 10 years that we've ever lost a match like that. So definitely wasn't looking positive, especially with the reinforcements that Pumas got this year. And it did come down to little mistakes in our goalkeeper.
I would say those are big mistakes.
Yeah,
it's really unfortunate for the kid, right? He's only 17, from what I understand. And they're pretty big mistakes, but, I mean, it's part of being a goalkeeper, I guess.
Yeah,
they all have them.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility. Obviously, Alex Padilla left back to Athletic Club, so we're looking for a goalkeeper, and we'll get into that. But yeah, we had a youngster come into this team, and I guess Efrain Juarez probably saw some potential in him or something, and it just didn't work out. It's unfortunate for him, but I mean, I think if you're a coach and you see something in a goalkeeper, I think it's a much responsibility for him, but I think he could still improve, especially with our new goalkeeper, Keylor Navas, who actually debuted today or against Querétaro, and we were able to keep a clean sheet in his first match. So it was very interesting. There were many moments where a lot of the time when he would catch a ball through like a center or anything positive for him, the whole stadium cheered, and it was so funny to see even Querétaro fans show appreciation towards him.
You're right. He's a big deal. He is a big deal, and Liga MX is lucky to have him. I felt like Argentina was also lucky to have him.
Yeah.
But Argentinians are not respectful to other football nations, to be quite frank, right?
Mm-hmm.
They I'm glad that they're the World Cup champions. Messi deserves it. I don't know if the rest of Argentina deserves it, but definitely Messi deserves it, and they're the champions. So congratulations, but you don't have to behave like that, in my opinion. Yeah. The way that they treated Keylor Navas, he's a legend. He's a great, especially like I said, for the Americas, right?
Yeah.
To achieve the stuff that he did achieve as a Costa Rican is impressive. It's legendary, and he should be applauded in everywhere he goes. He deserves it.
So. Yeah. It was very. It just you see the stadium erupt, and they show love for him. Obviously, like you said, he's in my eyes, I think he's one of the best goalkeepers, or if not the best goalkeeper to come from, this side of the continent. Obviously his time at Real Madrid, three-peat Champions League, everything. But I think the performance for Keylor Navas was, it was great. It was something that he's just used to, with that experience that he has and the quality of him as a player. It wasn't a difficult match for him. The second half though was changed differently, and I don't know how Pumas was able to get this victory. I honestly thought that Querétaro, the way that they just dominated the second half completely, and Pumas is their own side. It got me, worried. It was just difficult. This is it was a win, but I don't think it was a well-deserved win for Pumas. I think they just made the most of the chances, but they got very lucky. Jorge Rubalcaba got his second goal of the season.
He looks good. Match. He looked good in the second half. He looked really good in the second half.
He was one of the players that was constantly pressuring, and him with that, his pace and the way he can find pockets of space. It was a very good pass from Carrasquilla to get a little lob in through the goalkeeper, and again, he's just showing that quality. He's being sort of the replacement for Chino Huerta, and I think he's so far doing well for a team like this who are still struggling. But again, it's Efrain Juarez's first full season, so I don't expect them to just hit the ground running and everything. But there's some players who have experience, especially with again, like the reinforcements that I said. We also got Aaron Ramsey from Rangers, so it's another experienced player that will be playing for Pumas. But it's still difficult. Again, it's pretty early in the season, but I mean, at least we get 3 points for in the first 3 games. So I'm just happy with a win.
Yeah, no, awesome. It was an important win, like I said at the beginning of the discussion here about the game. It was an important win for Pumas. They it wasn't pretty, but they got it. I do want to highlight Jorge Rubalcaba, who is a Southern California native. So shout out to him. Yeah. He's from the Inland Empire, a product of Ocelot Academy, and low key, he's kind of one of their experienced players now, right? It's not his first season, maybe like a couple of years now in Liga MX. A lot of hype on him. I think he had a stint in Europe at Standard Liège. And then now back at Liga MX, I'm sure he's grown a lot. And you can see it in his play and his confidence. Before the goal, he had an incredible shot on goal that was just saved by the goalkeeper. A great save. And then his goal, man, looking out there, looking like a freaking young or like a Di Maria to me a little bit. With his pace and then the way that he chipped it over the goalie. But yeah, pretty good match. Querétaro could have offered more, I think, in the second half especially. They kind of like didn't start the second half off very strongly, and it cost them.
I do believe that. I think this game, I think there was a tackle on Carrasquilla that looked really bad. I don't know if you did see it or not.
I don't remember it.
It was an ex-Pumas player, Kevin Escamilla, who got Carrasquilla right on the shin, just pure pure contact on his leg, no intention to get the ball at all, and I think he got a yellow card. But looking at that, and again, we've always talked about VAR and how it could change things, whatever. But still, just the way you can replay the video of that foul, it honestly seemed like it should have been a red, especially with the way that Pumas got our red card from Angulo, and also another new player. It was sort of the same tackle, but for some reason, Alvaro got a straight red card and Kevin Escamilla. Not only didn't they go back to review it in VAR, but they didn't check it at all, and they just gave him a yellow. So it's very questionable from my end seeing that, because I mean it is a dangerous foul at the end of the day, and it doesn't for us to get a red card for a foul like that to not be reciprocated from Querétaro just seems kind of weird. But I mean we move on.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit unfair. I don't remember the foul on Carrasquilla, but that's what VAR's for, right? To go back and make the right call. Also wanted to highlight, nephew. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to kind of like just look at pictures or maybe search on YouTube. Querétaro Stadium, La Corregidora. Beautiful stadium, man. Mm-hmm. Beautiful stadium. It's like a mini Estadio Azteca. Mm-hmm. If you didn't know. Then moving on to another one of the good matchups in Liga MX over this weekend. Again, this is match week 3, jornada 3. Chivas of Guadalajara, nephew, getting a pretty close but intense win against San Luis in the Estadio Akron. A beautiful sunny day, I guess, in Guadalajara, and a lot of goals, a lot of up and downs in the match. But Chivas able to get the result there, and another important result for them, who didn't they have a game less versus everyone else, and then on top of that I don't think they won their first game.
I think they lost to Leon 1-0.
So they needed the dub. They did. They got it. I don't remember too many highlights of it. I remember seeing a dumb foul from Eric Gutierrez to cause a penalty. Mm-hmm. The goals were okay, I guess. They're not. Efrain Alvarez, the Mexican American from Southern California, LA native, also involved in the game. Not a starter, but came in. Gave an assist. Looked good.
I think that a question for me. I did see the Leon Chivas game, and it was so weird because I do remember hearing that Efrain was going to Chivas and everything, but I didn't see him as a starter in their first match. And when he came in, he completely changed the game against them, even though they lost. He was the only player that was feeding them. He looked great on the left side, and even going in as a 10. He had an incredible shot that I think hit the post as well. I thought after that game, I'm like, okay, surely he's going to be starting. But he gets benched again against San Luis, but then he eventually comes into the game getting an assist for, I think, the winning goal, I believe. He gets the winning assist. So, I don't know. I think after 2 decent performances, or a showcase, I guess, for a good 15, 20 minutes, I think he has to be your starting player now, or at least
you would hope so. Involved. Yeah. You would hope so. I can see the conflict of having Piojo Alvarado on the right, which is where we've always seen Efrain Alvarez. So I can see that conflict, but if he's playing good as a 10, or if he's giving you the options, as a left, a lot of coaches modern day they like to have a right footer on the left hand wing. So, so I can see that conflict. But if it's not giving you results, it's something to look into for sure.
Yeah, and especially like this for to be a huge contribution, getting your an assist your second game in, in less than I believe 45 minutes. It's I don't know what's going on with Chivas in general. They made some good reinforcements. Obviously, they got Brian Gonzalez from Pachuca as well. So I think this team has gone stronger. I believe as well, a 22-year-old scored from Chivas from their academy as well. So now that's another young striker, hopefully to replace Chicharito and stuff. So to me, I think this season it's a season that Chivas can finally start looking to do something more than this season than just because Chivas have been in a downward spiral ever since they last won their title.
Yeah, I mean they can't do much worse, right? They can't do much worse than they've been doing. They're not even getting into playoffs. I think that's that's probably still their goal, right, to get into the Liga.
Yeah.
But we'll see, right? It's gonna be a long Liga. This is just their first victory, in not that it's been a long season yet, but you still need to get victories, and as other teams start making separations in the competition in the table, and you want to fight for that spot for it to get into playoffs. Luckily for them, Liga MX has lost all fucking motive of competition and motivation to compete, and just they have a lot of spots in the Liga, and you even get a wild card. So it's so they have a chance, I guess, but they got to continue to have these performances. Getting 4 goals is going to help them, I think. Just knowing that they can score. One was an own goal technically, but better than. They got the win.
Yeah, they got the win. And comeback as well. They're down 2-0, I believe. So.
Also, Kate Cowell, the Mexican American, I guess if you want to look at him that way. Also playing for Chivas, getting a goal. Just a highlight for the Americans in the Liga MX. Moving on into another one of the great matchups this weekend, Toluca against Tigres. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this game? Toluca, the defending champions. Tigres, always a good club.
I mean, it was one of the best games for us to get in an early season opener. I wouldn't consider this an opener, but it's a very early game. It was just fight, just pure fight. I was kind of surprised that Toluca did lose this game. Obviously, coming from they just beat America in the Campeón de Campeones.
Bad too.
Yeah, bad as well, and they're the reigning champions. So, I thought Toluca could come out with something, but Tigres were just better together.
Fuck, man! When they started with Paulinho's goal, his little freaking like how he dragged it over like to his right foot.
Yeah,
that was clean. I was like, oh man, they're gonna open it up right now. And then, sure enough, Tigres came back. I didn't watch the whole game, but what I did see, a great matchup. Marcel Luis also, I mean, how much can we say about Marcel Luis consolidating himself in Liga MX and this Toluca? A lot of speculation on him making a move, but he's here.
He's finally showing his quality. He's becoming
I think he's
a starter.
showing his quality. I just think he's been overlooked. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is a conversation for another day. But the national team, they just been fumbling players.
Yeah.
There's another great example, Osiel Herrera. Mm. Why isn't he why has he not had a more consistent call up to the national team? He's so good, so talented, so he's not young anymore. He's 24 years old, which is an even more of a point of why is he overlooked? You need to keep feeding different players opportunities. I mean, what it'll do for his confidence, you'll see it in his club play.
Yeah, and there's also not a lot of players playing in his position at a very top level. And I think his play style as well. He's a pretty tall and fast player, and physical as well. So that's not a lot of players that we have like that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to stick with Antuna or even Orbelin too. I think he's been very inconsistent for the national team as well. So why not try new players? And I think Osiel Herrera is that player.
And and it's not like the players that we have now have given the results that we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the Mexican national team should want, which is the next level wins, basically.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, that's another conversation for another day, I think. Back to this match. It was kind of a back and forth. Like I said, Toluca took the lead, and then Tigres just basically took the game after that. And then Toluca kind of just fighting in the end. Marcel Luis the goal at the very end of the game to give them some hope, but it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, any other thing to highlight about this match?
I mean,
it could be a final, right? This could be potentially the final of a Liga MX.
I mean, yeah, it shows us a very early, like, insight to who can be the contenders for the title. I think Toluca is still pretty strong as well. They have the same core players that they have. I mean, they could possibly lose Ruiz, but still, they're still a contender. And Tigres looking to finally, after years of just inconsistency, they've always been a top team for the contender and slightly been losing it. And this could be the year. They finally are able to get more goals. Obviously, Ibanez again with a goal and just looking like his old self again. So.
I hope he doesn't leave. I hope Marcel Luis stays as a Toluca player going into the World Cup. It's kind of just like a romanticizing thing about. I like the idea that the Mexican national team has the majority of its players in Liga MX, and if they do good, it shows good on Liga MX. Basically, that's my thing, right? I've seen that happen before with the Mexican national team. In 2006, they had a great participation with a base of mostly players in the Mexican league. I mean, I've seen it many times, so I hope he stays. I think for him to leave to a new club, a new league this late, maybe if it was last year he would have left, but then obviously he doesn't become champion in Toluca.
Yeah.
Then it's just the time. We've talked a lot about that. Just like anything else, people need time to adapt, and I think it would take a hit to his chances of being a starter at the World Cup.
Yeah.
To go and spend a year in a different country with a different language and different teammates and a different style of league, just on and on and on, right? But that's just my thought. I could be completely wrong, and he goes to to a great club and shines and proves me wrong, and I think that's the awesome thing about sports.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Okay, so let's move on, dude. Let's move on to just I guess results of the week, right? The league leaders currently Pachuca. They beat Mazatlan at home in Pachuca. A huge victory for Cruz Azul over León, 4-1. Nephew, you saw León last week against Chivas.
Yeah.
Are they? What are you thinking about this season? Last season they were one of the best teams. I mean, throughout the campaign,
They were until the news came out that they weren't going to play in the Club World Cup, and I feel like that motivation lost.
Yeah.
So but it's true though. They were flying high. James Rodriguez was cooking with who was it again? Was it Cambido? Joher Cambido, I think it was his teammate or something.
I don't remember his name.
But it was another like Venezuelan player that they were like the duo that that were cooking the league, and then
he's not there anymore.
I believe he is there. I think,
okay.
Yeah. But once that news came out that they just weren't playing, they just fell off completely, and they were as well. The win for Chivas, or the win for León against Chivas, was very lucky because it was called through a penalty that, looking back at it in VAR, it doesn't seem like it should have been a penalty, and they were lucky to get a win. But yeah, I mean, we gotta talk about Sepúlveda. I believe he got I think 2 goals in this game, and he's been on fire ever since the league has started. So he's a big part of why this Cruz Azul squad won today, or last week. So yeah, I don't know. León are a weird case because once they had James and everybody, they were flying high, and then again once that news came out, they just haven't been the same, and I guess they are still that team. They just haven't been able to focus after that. They probably thought they were gonna have a vacation in the U.S. and now it just was taken away from them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, it's a convincing win from Cruz Azul at home.
Yeah, very convincing. Pretty good goals too. I saw like a freaking heel over, like almost like a Chilenita goal from Cruz Azul. Moving on to Monterrey against Atlas. Monterrey, another one of the big teams in Mexico. A 3-1 victory over Atlas, and then finally on Saturday, Necaxa against Club America. 1-1 draw. America kind of struggling this season.
Yeah.
Just not starting the way they started last season. I mean, a lot of players left the club, and I don't know. I don't think they got as much quality in as they let go. The standings currently for the league, like I mentioned, they show Pachuca at number 1, Toluca at number 2, followed by the both teams from Monterrey, Tigres and Monterrey, and then Cruz Azul and Club America rounding up the top 6. Honorable mentions: Chivas, Guadalajara currently in the 12th spot with one game less from the rest of the teams. And then Pumas, with their victory, they climbed out of to the 5th position. So, an important win for them as well. Surprising to see Leon down in the 16th spot with only one victory, but you expect them to make a comeback in this season, nephew.
Definitely.
Looking into the future, into next week, Andrew, any of the matches that you want to highlight?
I mean, I'm always gonna support my Pumas, even though we haven't so far showed it yet. But I mean, I'm gonna be looking forward to Keylor Navas making his debut at the Universitario. So that's gonna be a very interesting and important match to watch. Maybe just any team that Toluca or Tigres are gonna play well after this like amazing match. That I want to see how much their platform from that game can they keep going on from. But yeah, maybe even a Monterrey game as well. So
awesome, great. Well, you played it very well. I think I agree with you on the Tigres against Puebla game. I'll probably end up watching that on Friday night, and then I'll watch the America against Querétaro game as well for sure. And then I'll see what else I can make time for over my weekend. Well, if that's it for Liga MX, we'll move on to the MLS. The MLS is one of the leagues that has not really taken a pause, throughout the summer. Right, their schedule's always kind of weird, and they just go at it. They continue to go at it. So they've currently up to today played 25 games per team, with the Eastern Conference standings showing Philadelphia at the number 1 spot, Cincinnati, Nashville, and Columbus rounding up the top 4. Number 5 is Inter Miami. Orlando City's at number 6. Charlotte, and then New York and Chicago rounding up the top 9, which provide the playoff spots.
yeah.
In the Western Conference, San Diego, the new team to the league, Chucky Lozano's team, surprisingly at number 1 with 46 points. Then followed by Vancouver, Minnesota, Seattle, Portland, LAFC, Austin, Real Salt Lake, and Colorado. Surprising to still see the LA Galaxy down in the 15th spot as one of the worst teams in the league. And then just kind of the matches to highlight into this coming weekend. Andrew, what are your thoughts? What matches are you looking forward to? I assume LAFC.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe even San Diego game as well. They're number 1 for a reason. I think they're one of the best teams so far, especially for a new team. And yeah, I'm just excited to see Chucky again, as always. And I'm going to look forward to seeing LAFC. We lost against, I believe, Portland Timbers 1-0, so unlucky for us to lose. But yeah, I'm always going to be supporting every sort of California team except for LA Galaxy. But yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty good week. I think also as well that I believe it's a derby between St. Louis versus Nashville. That's gonna be a pretty good game as well. I think the atmosphere there is gonna be pretty sick. So that'll be another game to be highlighted for.
It makes me laugh when people say derbies in the fucking MLS, bro. Well, that's kind of a quick rundown of the MLS. We definitely need to get a better grasp on the MLS, and then just just focus more on it, so we can really provide our thoughts. I think been neglecting that league for a little bit. Andrew, along with the coverage of Liga MX and MLS for the Americas editions, we wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Campeonato Brasileirão Serie A. It's the top competition in Brazil, right? You saw how well the Brazilian teams did in the Club World Cup. To a lot of people, it might be surprising, but to me, it really wasn't. Just looking at the history of the football teams, the soccer teams in Brazil in international competitions where they go head to head with the best teams in Europe. Sometimes they come on. Often they come out on top or just show some great football. Which to me again, it's not a surprise. There's a reason why they're the pentacampeones, the country with the most World Cups, arguably the best players ever. What are your thoughts initially? I guess just kind of what you saw over the summer. I imagine it's the most Brazilian games that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, we were there 4th of July watching. Who was, I believe, was it what Brazilian team was it?
Was it Palmeiras?
I think it was Palmeiras versus Palmeiras versus Chelsea. I mean, you saw that match, I believe, on 4th of July. So it was a 4th of July weekend, and yeah, I mean, we saw out of all non-European countries and teams, Brazil shined out the most. They got historical wins. Pretty sure was it Flamengo that got a win against PSG?
I believe it was Fluminense.
Yeah, Fluminense.
Fluminense is the team that played on that 4th of July weekend against Chelsea. Just so you're aware.
Okay. So yeah, it was. We just saw the best non-Brazilian or non-European teams, and they showed that it was Brazil, and they showed amazing football. They showed, and the thing that I liked about it as well, it wasn't like they just parked the bus and waited to attack. They played their own football, even though they went against teams like Man City and PSG and Chelsea. They went fighting for what they believed for, and they wanted to lose their own way, and they even didn't. They got some surprising wins. They showed out some great football, and yeah, I mean, I think it shows you that there's other better competitions as well, not just in Europe. There's some always great levels in different sides of the country and in the world, and lucky for us, we were able to see Brazil come out on top. So it was amazing.
Awesome, man. Well put. I'm glad that you did have that take and that you're able to just express it, man, the way that you are able to. Man, just awesome, dude. Because I definitely agree. Like the again, a lot of the marketing and the pushing these generations is to Europe to highlight all things Europe as far as world football, and it's just not the case, right?
Yeah.
There's especially the South American countries that just show it competition through competition of what they bring and the level of play that they have. So anyway, currently in the Campeonato Brasileirão, the other team from Rio de Janeiro, I don't know if you knew Fluminense is from Rio de Janeiro, but Flamengo is also from that beautiful city of Rio de Janeiro. Or they're the number one spot currently. The top 12 get into their playoff, I'm sorry, no, the top 12 spots they go to the international competitions. They have the Copa Libertadores. What else do they have? The Nissan Sudamericana. So all those spots get broken down into those tournaments. They also have in the Brazilian league relegation, so they'll go from the Brazilian Serie A to the Brazilian Serie B. A lot of great teams just go up and down based on the level of competition. Currently, Santos of Neymar Jr. is sitting in one of those relegation spots in the 17th spot, but again, it's a living, breathing list of teams.
And there's so many historic teams as well. I have a Santos sticker on my phone. But going through the table, I just look at so many teams. I'm like, there's always at least one or two or three players that played for that team that come out as one of the world's best. So it's honestly a great competition, great football, and great players.
Yeah, some of the teams to highlight that that as football fans you might have heard of, like I said, Flamengo, Palmeiras, Sao Paulo, Internacional, Corinthians, Fluminense, Santos, Vasco da Gama, just some of the biggest household names, I guess. And again, it's just like the MLS. We're gonna focus on watching these matches a lot more, so we can bring you our thoughts and just. Our goal, I guess, is to bring a light to these games more to our side of the world, because they're not really too familiar with it to everybody, and you guys are missing out if you like the game, because it's really entertaining. Another one of the leagues similar to Brazil in the level of competition that is really not known throughout the world, or at least I guess here in Southern California. The Argentina Primera División, Andrew. Another one of the leagues with teams that just similar to the Brazilians. Historically they fight for the number one spot club in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Teams like Boca Juniors and River Plate, Estudiantes. Maybe not Estudiantes lately, but they are one of the historic teams. One of the best teams historically, right? Andrew, any thoughts on what we're looking forward to seeing from the Argentinian league?
Yeah, the names that you said with teams, I think something that's very interesting to me, at least, is that I remember growing up, it's always been River and Boca, always just the two teams fighting for the campeonato now, and they've been sort of not the same level, and we saw that exactly in the Club World Cup, and I think it's beautiful because there's now newer teams or different teams that are fighting for the campeonato in Argentina, and there's teams that are looking at the history of Boca and River saying, okay, you guys dominated, but I think this is our season or our opportunity to take to take advantage of the sort of downgrades that Boca and River kind of had, because again, we saw them in the Club World Cup. A lot of the fans were talking like if they were gonna win, and they got grouped. So it's cool to see a competition that there's newer teams fighting, like you said, Independiente. I think one of my personal favorites is probably the Racing Club and maybe Newell Boys. So it's just cool to Newells, and it's just sick to see different teams I guess climb that level ladder and become more better than the big ones, So it's a pretty interesting league as well.
Also, the atmosphere that the Argentinians bring to the game, their singing, their collective chanting is it's really awesome. If you're like I said, if you're a football fan, you appreciate those type of things, right? Mm-hmm. And definitely they bring some of the best atmosphere to the game that's worldwide. So. Yeah. Definitely looking forward to those. I know I'd have to do a better job at following these leagues, watching the games, and I can't wait to be able to do that more as I get to spend more time watching soccer and just getting back into it. Moving on from the leagues, Andrew, a lot of speculation, a lot of transfers happening in world football. I'll start with some of the ones that are, I guess, that affected the Liga MX, right? Mm. Angel Correa joining Atletico Madrid Angel Correa joining Tigres from Atletico Madrid, and then Keylor Navas, like we mentioned, joining Pumas, a huge signing for Pumas. Angel Correa also a huge signing, a world champion with Argentina, and then. I don't know. Are we putting Sergio Ramos in this round of transfers? Because it's relatively new, but technically he finished the end of last season with Monterrey.
I mean, it's still, regardless, it's another big name and an experienced player coming into to strengthen the Liga MX team. So I wouldn't necessarily count it for this window, but it's definitely a big move for a team from Liga MX to get a player like Sergio Ramos. So yeah.
Well, I'll just go through the kind of list that I made of that I wanted to highlight. Again, I don't like to get too much into like the rumor mill, but definitely the confirmed ones. Right? It started off before the season even ended with Trent, the biggest move, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we talked about this as well, joining Real Madrid on a transfer from. I mean, it was kind of like a free transfer from Liverpool. But then I think they ended up going back, and Real Madrid kicked them some money for him. But again, the biggest move I think of this transfer window, another transfer that happened before the season had concluded was there was news about former Wolves Mateo Cunha joining Manchester United. To me, that's a questionable move for a club like Manchester United. Not gonna say that not hating on Mateo Cunha, but. I mean, for Manchester United to go for a player like that when he's really hasn't won anything or hasn't proven anything like at a super high level, I think Manchester United right now needs to look for answers and not, to me, Mateo Cunha is more of a question like what can he bring, not he brings this to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Another famous move. Luka Modric left Real Madrid to join AC Milan. Another historic Real Madrid player leaving. Very proud of the AC Milan fans and the club AC Milan for how they welcomed him. Again, he's a legend, and he deserves that type of treatment. And then just two more that I have, Andrew. Rodrigo de Paul, the Argentinian, joining Inter Milan. I think it's a bad move for similar. If he's trying to go to the World Cup, at least for similar reasons that I gave for a bad, potential move for Marcel Ruiz, is that time to adapt a year before the World Cup. To me, that's like a regressive move from De Paul from leaving the Spanish league to go to the MLS, which is just a lower level competition. He's gonna go fucking vacation. He's been vacation in Miami. That's really to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
That move does open a spot in Atletico Madrid for a transfer from Betis. Johnny Cardoso, the American, like half American, half Brazilian, leaving Betis, upgrading to Atletico Madrid. Huge move for him. And then for the American national team too, I anticipate that'll be, a good move for them, and him leveling up basically.
Yep.
Oh, Marcus Rashford.
Going
Marcus
to Barcelona.
Rashford. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I manifested that
you?
years ago,
really?
bro. I swear to God.
Okay.
I swear. I always thought that I always like those moves from the England team to Spain. I think it favors the players from England because of the pace of the English game. It's a little bit more slow in Spain, but I don't know, like just as tactical. I always liked that move.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that they needed him.
Yeah, we talked about English players moving not just to Spain but abroad. I mean, we. Or just players from that English, sort of area. I mean, we saw Scott McTominay be a bench warmer at Man United to becoming Serie A champion with Napoli and also being MVP. Being MVP of the league. We saw 2 years ago with Jude Bellingham going from Borussia Dortmund to being the best player in the world with Real Madrid just one season. And we could possibly see that with Marcus Rashford, And again, we've talked about the toxicity of the club as Man United, so it probably could be Man United as a whole, but we saw him perform in Aston Villa. We saw him perform and look better and look more of himself, and so this transfer it's definitely it wasn't something that I say I would want, but it's definitely a reinforcement. Barcelona went from wanting to get Nico Williams then to talks with Luis Diaz, and I think even a mention of possibly getting Rafael Leao.
That would have been.
And I think those moves would have made me more positive than this move with the Rashford. But again, he's still a player. not too young, but he's also not too very old. And I think having a player like him, very fast, very physical, and very direct, I think it's it gives options to the left hand side, and even he's used to playing as a striker. So again, Lewandowski is aging, and he can be a striker that fills in for Lewandowski.
Dude, I think he's coming to Barcelona at his prime. I mean, he's got to be hungry. He's got to be hungry from the way he's kind of like being discarded at Manchester United on for no reason. I think so I think he's got to be motivated. I think he's physically going to be in his prime. And then as far and experience wise as well, where he's got like you said, he's not young, but he's not old, right? Mm-hmm. I think you guys are gonna get him at his prime moment, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good move, man. I hope it's gonna be a good move. I'm a huge Rashford fan on and off the pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on the pitch, he's like you said, everything that you said about him, he's quick, he's direct, he can score from free kicks. He's not a selfish player in my opinion, which for me is a huge bonus and contribution to a successful team is your players not being selfish. So
yeah.
I think it's a good move. And then he's got to be motivated to join a Barcelona.
Definitely.
To be part of a team that will be in the Clásico and the biggest game in the world. Like I gotta hope he's motivated up to that challenge. So
yeah, and I'm just excited, or I want to say excited, but I'm more. It always leaves me to wonder what he will become at the time he has at Barcelona, because it's also only just a loan. It's just a 1-year loan or just a season loan. Because the way that Rafinha operates at the position in the left side, he's more of just a free. He just plays a free role player. He's always, the reason why was one of the best players last season, because he was just contributing on, with the ball and without the ball. He was very good defensively with us, and again, he would move in the middle sometimes. So I want to see what Rashford will do with that responsibility, or if Hansi Flick will give him a different role. That's sort of the question, because I don't see Rashford as a playmaker, but I see him more as a goal scorer and a threat, in the box. So it's definitely leaving me with questions to see how he's going to be integrated into this team and how he's going to function, because you don't think of Marcus Rashford as a playmaker, as a 10, as a player to even control a game, but he is a player that can win you games and obviously, like you said, score from pretty much anywhere. So it is definitely an exciting move, because I want to see if Hansi Flick can truly bring out the best in Rashford, and I'm very excited to see the Clásico, because it's going to be English after English after English, and it's going to be so exciting to see Rashford and Trent. They obviously battle against each other in Liverpool and United, so it's going to be excited to see them from that to
Jude Bellingham
as well. So
the national team teammates.
Yeah, so it's going to be crazy.
To your point of where he can fit in this Barca team, he if you look at his last years at Manchester United and his time at Aston Villa, he played on the left, right? He played on the left a lot. So I think he can play with Rafinha, just maybe alternating that left spot. And then another thing is, like, if you just kind of like remember, modern day football, there's just so many substitutions, right, that are allowed in the games now. It's not to where you're limited to 3 like it was not so long ago. And the managers really just change the look of the squad at any given moment, like the complete change of the squad, right? Yeah. So I think he's going to be part of that also, where the team just needs a rest or needs to make those changes and just give a different look to them. Not necessarily with Rafinha or Lewandowski on the field at the same time, but I think I mean the way that I see it, the way that I've seen. I mean, I don't understand why he wouldn't start over Lewandowski. Lewandowski's kind of falling off, and then just thinking about the speed at which a Rafinha, Marcus Rashford, and Lamine Yamal can play, it just gives me freaking chills.
I mean, it's definitely that's what gives me that question in my mind where I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna be as because again, I think this move I think one priority that sort of messed up Barca's dreams and chance of winning the Champions League and even going for a quadruple was that they didn't have that much squad depth, and even if they did, we had players injured or red cards, and the reason I think why we failed against that semifinal with Inter Milan was because we had players that were missing, and a lot of the players are tired, and I think that's the reason. The reason why players are tired is because of the way we play. So, that's why I'm excited because he's a player that's gonna fill in a spot for Lewandowski or for a Rafinha or even a Lamine Yamal if he gets injured or if he gets tired. So he's definitely a player that, is gonna fill in for when players are tired. But like I said, it's just questioning me if he's gonna play on the left side like Rafinha is doing, or if he's gonna play as a striker, coming down deep to ask for the ball, or But that's something that excites me, is that I want to see how he's going to be, because Barcelona did actually have a preseason match on Saturday, I believe, and he played on the left side, so he looked dangerous, going on the left hand side. So I'm assuming that's where he's gonna be playing. But I'm just excited. We get a new attacking player to this Barcelona team. So
yeah, I know, awesome. We spent a lot of time talking about Rashford, more than I thought we would. But we're fans of his, I guess.
Yeah,
So, and Barcelona. Any other transfer rumors, Andrew? You want to dive into the rumors? Just any transfer news? Any other transfers that you want to highlight? We talked about Keylor Navas a little bit, the legendary Real Madrid goalkeeper joining Pumas with still a lot of years of football left in him. I think he's not an old man, so it's another great move for Mexico.
Definitely, I think another move as well for the Liga MX is Luka Jovic, from ex-Real Madrid player, and I think he plays in Milan. Might be joining Cruz Azul, so that's another strong player.
The Croatian, right?
I think he's Croatian.
Pretty sure.
So yeah, he's
pretty sure I seen him play in the World Cup in 2014 when Mexico beat him.
No. He's a newer, younger player.
Really?
Yeah, Luka Jovic. I think he's Serbian. I think he's
really?
Serbian. Yeah.
Okay.
He played in Frankfurt, then he got to move to Real Madrid.
I'm gonna look him up.
Okay, but yeah, he supposedly, I don't know if the rumors are still true. I don't know if they're still in talks or he already signed, but I know that he's a player that not Luka Doncic, Luka Jovic.
This gentleman.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's see. Serbian. You're right.
Serbian. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he's having talks with Cruz Azul and joining them. So that's another dangerous player when you already have Angel Sepulveda in your team. So I think that's another rumor. What else? I mean, is there any other Mexican? Well, I mean, we could talk about Marcelo Ruiz. I mean,
he was linked with Ipswich Town and Palmeiras, I believe.
I think recently there was Palmeiras made another move for him. So, I think I'm the opposite from your standpoint, because I think he should leave Toluca. Because, again, yes, it might be a bit risky to move 1 year before the World Cup. But again, I think if he doesn't make a move, he stays in Toluca, and let's say the best case scenario is he does amazing in the Liga MX, and he gets a starting spot in the World Cup, and let's say he does well again there, if he gets injured during the World Cup, and now his chances of moving to Europe are they're ruined. I would say take the chance that you have when you can, and especially again, I think if you're playing at your best and you're finally being recognized, I think that's the part where you should say, maybe if I'm playing my best, I can play at a different country. I think a step up from Brazil is, I think it's a step up from the Liga MX to Brazil. He's obviously filling the role from the Colombian midfielder that played for Palmeiras, Richard Rios. He got a move from Palmeiras to Benfica, so he's pretty much the replacement from Richard Rios. So I would say take your chance if you can, and especially if it's a team that's offering your third offer for you. There's a team that look at you and they want you and they see something in you. So, and I think the worst case scenario if you get in that move is you just don't do well. But I think either way, you've proved your worth, and I think he'd still get a spot in the World Cup, even regardless if he still doesn't perform well at a league in Brazil. But I would say take it, because again, we talked about the Brazilian league. It's a competitive league, and you're not going to one of the worst teams. If anything, you're going to one of the best.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting move for sure. It's an interesting. I agree with you. It's the football is a level up maybe from it is from the Mexican league. The competition is level up. I think it's still a risky move. I mean, shit, I'd be flattered if Palmeiras went after me or any team went after me, several times, especially a team like Palmeiras. Um, but regardless, right? I think it's too much of a risk. I think that the risk is too much. And again, me again. This is my perfect world scenario. It's because in my mind, is going to the World Cup with the goal of lifting the trophy, and to do that, you need a Marcelo Ruiz in his prime, in form. You need him in form. You can't risk him sitting on the bench, and not playing and not reaching his, his momentum, I guess, heading to the World Cup. And then another thing would be, that if he does have a good World Cup, then the doors open to him, for anywhere in the world, I think.
Yeah.
I see him as a world class player. Like, he could play anywhere. Like, I do see that, just from watching him. Like, he thinks he knows the game. He's very smart at the game, and that's probably his number one attribute that I see in him. He sees his vision for passing and how to create space.
I think he's very, very complete.
Yeah.
He's very, very complete. I think in the Gold Cup, you can see him there in the field defensively and offensively. So he's definitely a player that, I do agree somewhat. It is a risky move, but I mean, there's something that always it's always what if, if you got that move, if you got out of the league, it's because I think that's one thing that's also very it's a question or a regret that many players have in their mind. What if I went to this team? I really wish he would have went to the championship though with Ipswich. I think that would have been a very interesting move for him. A very physical league, which I think he could handle. And if you see a Mexican who handles like that as a midfielder, it just shows what level you are. So I really wish he would have taken that Ipswich move, but I mean, hopefully he's his own person, so he probably knows what's best for him, and if he thinks that Toluca is the team that he should stick with for a while, then let him be comfortable, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think that's my stance on the, I guess, Ruiz situation, but yeah.
Well, interesting, man. Definitely a lot to talk about with with the young players in Mexico. The new generation. I mean, Gilberto Mora. We could talk about him as well, right? There's no rumors around him, but I can't imagine there's going to be, it's going to be very long until he makes a move, because of just his quality.
Yeah.
And then just, kind of on what you said, about the Gold Cup and watching Marcel Ruiz and Gilberto Mora play together in that midfield, man. It gives me hope. It gives me hope for Mexican national team because, they showed a lot of quality. Gilberto at a super young age of 16, he'll be 17 shortly here. So a lot of career left for him. Marcel Ruiz, a good chunk of his career. We criticize the Mexican national team heavily here for their lack of preparation when it comes to the young players and the youth development that just really has been taking a hit in Mexico. But what hasn't been taking a hit in is Andrew's development as a co-host here of the After 90 Talk, man. What a great job. So much fun to have these conversations with you, and just like we talked about, bro. Like, before you know it, it's a freaking hour and a half, and our asses hurt from sitting down so much. We need some comfortable chairs, man. Yeah. We need your support. We need your support, to be quite frank, right? We need you guys to share, comment. We need to set up some way to donate, because eventually we want to be able to fund, what we do and just us watching games through this channel. So please, give us your support. We're just growing the channel. We currently our number one goal is to get to 50 subscribers. 50 subscribers, totally doable. We're not halfway there yet, but we will be soon.
Yeah.
Andrew's been doing a great job editing these videos, and we just have conversations about pushing our socials, which I think will help just kind of drive this thing. Andrew, I mean, not much else to say for this week.
Oh, yeah. I think we covered everything we could have. And yeah, I mean, the seasons have just started, and again in Europe they're going to start soon. So we'll have more football and more entertaining stuff to talk about. So I think that's just something I'm very excited for in the future. So
yeah, same here, definitely. It's gonna be an awesome ride. So glad to have you guys here with us again, and appreciate you taking your time out of your day to just let us get in your ear a little bit. With that, have a good night, have a good afternoon, peace.